Hello, folks, and welcome to another podcast of the Silver and Gold Stackers group podcast. And thanks for listening in. Today, we're going to be discussing junk silver, which is a topic near and dear to most of our hearts. Many of us started stacking with junk silver, or junk silver is an important part of our stack. There's a couple reasons to stack junk silver, which we're going to go through. But one of the most important is the fact that not too much of it is actively faked by the Chinese. Like if you're buying 10-ounce Atmex bars or Perth Mint stuff or just the whole gamut of bullion and semi-numismatic coins, the risk of counterfeits is really high, and the risk of getting like a clad bar or a plated bar from Alibaba or straight over from China, it's there. But when you're buying silver dimes that are junk silver, much lower risk. It's just not worth the counterfeiter's time to make a fake silver dime or silver quarter even. Half dollars, still probably not worth their time. Morgan dollars, that's when you have to start worrying, but Morgans aren't considered junk silver, so you're good there. So we're going to kind of go through some of the different types of junk silver that are out there, and we'll kind of discuss each one, our opinions, whether we like them or not. I'll start with dimes. Dimes, there's three forms of dimes you're going to see. Most common, you're going to see the Roosevelt dimes. And first of all, you have to remember, if the coin is from after 1965, only dollars were still any percentage silver. They were 40%. But junk silver, which is quarters and dimes and half dollars, were stopped being silver in after 1965. So the dimes, we start with like the Roosevelt dime, and I have a good example of a Roosevelt dime right here. If I can open up my tube. There we go. This is what a Roosevelt dime looks like. Honestly, it's the same exact dime that you're used to seeing. There's nothing different about it, except that when you look at the edge like that, you won't see a clad ring around the edge. Basically, because it's silver all the way around, you know that this is an actual silver coin. It's not the ultimate test, but it's a good start. Then you want to look at the date. This coin is a 1959, which if you look really closely, you may be able to see. So obviously it's from before 1965, and it's therefore a silver dime. Darren, what do you have? Do you have anything you want to add to the Roosevelt dimes? Your opinion on them?
No, I don't really have anything to add. I'm kind of, as I've said before in a lot of the other podcasts, I'm definitely a weight kind of guy, both literally and figuratively. So I like to maximize my amount of weight, and I don't know if we're ready to start talking about the logistics of these coins or not, but I definitely would prefer the Roosevelt dimes over any of the other Barbers or Mercuries, simply because they do actually have more weight on them. They're less what they call slick coins, and they do have a little bit more weight. But the industry doesn't go by that. They don't sell by the weight typically. They're usually sold by the face value, which we can go into the logistics of that a little bit later. But to cover what I want to say about the Mercury dime, it is my preferred 90%. Along with, and I'll just clear the air right now on the rest of them. I like the 1964 Kennedy half dollars or the bennies over the Walking Liberties, and I prefer the Washington quarters over any of the Standing Liberty quarters or the Barber quarters. So just to clear the air on that right now, the newer the junk silver, the better for me.
Yeah, John, what do you think about the newer junk silver?
I'm in the same boat Darren is. I like the older stuff, and I don't really. I've been on a Franklin's kick, and I received a whole bunch for free from a family member. So I not too much into the new stuff.
I mean, folks, and you may be wondering.
A fetish.
You may be wondering why. Folks, if you don't know, war nickels are only 35% silver, and John, do you know what the code is on them? I forget the letter that's always on the war nickels that have silver.
They're the only nickels that have mint marks right above the dome, and it's the only time you'll see a P mint mark.
There's mine right there.
That's right.
No,
P.
not just
Yeah,
a
you have
P.
to look for the P above the dome.
It's not just a P, guys. It's P, D, and S.
Well, yeah, here's an S. What I'm saying is it's the only time you'll see a P mint mark. Usually the P has no mint mark.
I got you. You're correct.
That's right.
Otherwise, you will never see a P mint mark on anything in your life.
And John, what are the or Darren, what are the years that the war nickels were minted? I don't buy them myself, so I don't know as much about them.
Was that directed towards me or John? He said both of us.
Either or, whoever's got the answer.
Go ahead, Darren.
The war nickels were minted in 42, 43, 44, and I think 45. I'm not real too keen on the years, the exact years, but because I don't look for the year date. When I'm looking through my nickels for war nickels, I just flip them over and look for the mint mark. That is the easiest telltale that you're gonna find. And I found them in circulation.
Please, seriously, war nickels are. I mean, they're possible to find in circulation, but don't think if you save every nickel from before 1965, you're getting a bunch of silver, because you're absolutely not. And I've actually seen that in the stacker group. People that are all excited about how many pre-65 nickels they found.
Yeah, you're absolutely getting zero silver doing that. So. Yeah,
and they're only 35%. And a subject we're going to come up to in a minute is the space that junk silver takes up. And when you're stacking something that's only got 35% or 40% of silver content, it takes up a lot of extra space that could be taken up by 0.99 silver, or at least 90% of silver. So the other design that we were just talking about is the Merv Dime, which is what this is what it looks like, and then it's got the old Roman axe on the back, looking like that. So the nice thing about Merv Dimes is they have a really cool design, as does I'm drawing a blank here. Hey Darren, what was that other design?
The Barber
Dimes. Barber. Yeah, the Barber Dime. So they have really cool designs, but the problem with those two designs is the fact that they're much more worn because they've been around so much longer. They've been a lot more people's pockets. So they're actually usually thinner than a Roosevelt is, just because they've been around longer and they've had more wear. Obviously, a Barber Dime or a Merv Dime that's in great mint condition will have the exact same amount of silver that a Roosevelt Dime will have, but it's very hard to find those dimes, and they're usually worth more. Another thing to realize is that these...
I'm just showing how slick these are. That's a Barber Dime, though. And I do have some finer specimens of Barber Dimes. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just trying to show.
No, absolutely. So, Derek, moving on to quarters. Obviously, I prefer the Washington quarters. Out of the junk silver, quarters are my favorite thing to stack, because $10 in quarters equals exactly a seventh of an ounce of silver. And so $10 of dimes takes 2 of these tubes. $10 of quarters is 1 tube. And that means you can save a little bit of space in your safe. And quarters are just easy to stack. Personally, my favorites are 1964 Washingtons. They usually have plenty of silver on them still. And it takes the exact amount of those quarters to fill up the tube. Unlike if you're stacking Barbers, it takes a lot more than it really should. It usually takes 1 or 2 extra to fill a tube fully.
Yeah, and
what's the other design in the middle?
Between the Barber quarters, the Standing Liberty quarter.
Yeah, that's right.
I have one, I think.
That Standing Liberty, it's probably my least favorite classic coin design. John, do you have one? Oh, you've got a Washington quarter there.
I prefer them too. It's 63.
I actually love the Standing Liberty design.
Do you?
You do?
I'm gonna differ from you guys. Well, not just the front of it, the reverse of it.
I swear, I think it looks... I'm not sure what it looks like. It just looks weird to me. It looks like it has like 4 legs or something.
Yeah, I see why you said it.
Yeah, folks, you're getting some disagreement here among the admins of the Silver and Gold
It's a half
collector. Yeah, I mean, to me, it just looks weird. It's like...
Yeah, she looks funny.
I guess part of why I don't like it is it's got so much broad detail that it wears down, and then it doesn't really have much detail left. I mean, it's very hard to find one of those. Yeah, it's very hard to find one of those quarters that looks the way it's supposed to look, because just a little bit of wear seems to destroy a lot of the design.
Okay, here we
But
go.
that's my personal taste
Here we go.
and opinion, and everybody should form their own opinions about these coins.
My biggest reason I like these ones is the reverse on 'em. Just the flying eagle there. I love it. I don't know what it is. I don't like the front.
Yeah, the reverse is pretty cool. Yeah, that eagle is pretty cool.
So, we're getting into a lot of the
Philadelphia.
Go ahead.
In the Philadelphia Mint, they actually have the original eagle stuff that they based American coin designs off of since the 1790s, 1800. It's actually stuffed in the Philadelphia Mint, so if you go on that tour, you can see the original bald eagle that our coin designs are based on. Darren, what were you saying? Sorry, I cut you off there.
It's fine. No, I was interrupting you. One of the things we're slightly touching on, and we're tiptoeing around the subject, is what I consider the logistics of it. How are you going to buy junk silver? What form is it going to come in? And how are you going to purchase it? And one of the things to remember when buying junk silver, and I'm going to just kind of beat around the bush here a little bit. When you're buying junk silver, you're buying it by the dollar face value, okay? So you're not buying it by the ounce, you're not buying it by the pound. Typically, there are sellers that sell it, and typically those sellers that are selling it by that increment in weight, like are on eBay, and they're trying to trick new people into buying it and paying more for it. So that's typical. So one of the things I want to hit home with you is that a dollar is a dollar, whether it's a single dollar coin, 2 half dollars, 4 quarters, or 10 dimes. A dollar of 90% silver is 0.715 ounces. It wasn't minted with that. That is just what the dealers as a whole have agreed upon. That is roughly what amount of silver is left in what they consider to be a call or a junk coin. And a junk coin, that terminology, we don't count these as being junk. The terminology junk coin means to a numismatic collector or a coin dealer, the only thing that they're valued for is their weight in silver. And that's how they call it a call coin or a junk coin. And I found some nice specimens and some junk coin bags that were semi-key dates and stuff like that. So that's something else to keep looking out for as you're buying this junk silver. I guess that's really my spiel. Yeah, go ahead, take it back over, Jake.
Okay, yeah. I've gone back and forth on this issue personally about going through all of my junk silver and trying to find key dates and more valuable coins. And finally, I decided it was a cost versus my time analysis. It wasn't worth my time to go through every single coin I was buying, along with a list of key dates and things to look for. Eventually, I may do that when I'm retired or something. I'm not really planning on selling this stuff anytime soon. But it goes a little broader than that. It goes to things like doing ordering from your bank, $100 worth of half dollars or $1,000 worth of half dollars.
Yeah,
trying to find silver that way.
Don't do that.
I mean, when you you've gotten some pretty strong opinions there already. So I think what it comes down to is like $3 an hour or not even. I mean, it's just not worth your time.
Oh, absolutely. The rewards, the reward compared to the amount of time, you might as well just pick up an extra hour of work an extra shift at work if you can. If you can get overtime at your job, go work some overtime, because the amount of time it's going to sit there to sort through a box of junk coin or a box of coins from the bank is just not worth it. Now, the one time I do sift through my change is I have a change jar. Every time I count it up, I do go through it. I've found a couple silver nickels, and I've found at least a silver dime out of there. And I don't know if I'm actually pulling these out of circulation or if I just dropped them on the floor at one point, found them, and put them in there. So I can't even say that to encourage that. I'm just making sure that my silver stays in the house and doesn't go back out. So that's my spiel on coin roll hunting.
If you're gonna do coin roll hunting, even though we don't advise it, do it around the Christmas season, because that's a lot of times when people will take out their old change jars or their old roll of dimes grandma left them and that they've never even really knew were silver, and they'll spend it or bring it to a bank. And sometimes you can do pretty well around Christmas season, I've been told. But again, I don't advise it. I think there's better ways to spend your time. Go ahead, John.
All right. Here's the deal. I used to haul money for American Armored Transport. I've been on the ground. I've seen this. The old coinage is constantly pulled and taken to either Denver or Philadelphia. I've delivered it myself. But here's the thing: if you can ever run into some customer-provided rolls, you have a much better odds with that than you do with the new stuff from the Fed. Because otherwise, you're just going to waste your time. I promise you.
Absolutely.
That's it.
That means if you're gonna try to do coin roll hunting, you probably shouldn't order the rolls from your bank, because that means they're probably coming straight in from the Fed.
Those are coming directly from one of the depots, be it Brinks or Garda or whatever. But those are the intermediaries between the Fed and the rest of us. So it's coming directly from the Fed. And that's it.
I'd like to add a little bit too here. Another good place to look out for, and it depends where you're at, really, in the United States or the world. Where I'm at now and where I lived previously, and where I'm from too, there's a large presence of Amish people. Amish people have ancient change jars laying around, and they're actually a pretty decent source to get junk coin from as well. Follow them into a bank if you see them with a change jar, and buy everything that they send to the bank.
I live in the
Amish
capital of Pennsylvania. Jake knows this personally. And, you can find stuff there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, the way I view junk silver, to kind of sum up our podcast on this, is it's a way to start. It's a way to get into buying silver, get your feet wet. It's a safe way to do it, especially if you're buying quarters and dimes. Just buy them from a reputable dealer. Don't expect to get anything more than what you're buying. Don't expect there to be a $10,000 key date dime in there somehow. It's happened, but it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
And you're probably not that lucky. So, just buy it for what it is. It's a good way to stack. I mean, there are issues. These things do take up a lot of room in your safe, as you can see, especially when you have the floor of your safe covered in a layer of these tubes, and none of them are ever the same height, at least in my experience, because I get them for free from my coin shop. So they are a pain in the butt. Eventually, I'm just going to box them all up or throw them in a Crown Royal bag, as John suggests.
I'm putting my stuff away as we speak.
So another thing that I'd like to touch on too. We basically did a lot of talk on 90%, but the video is also titled Other, and I want to kind of talk about the other a little bit too while we're here. What I would consider other, of course, would be these 35% nickels, and then also the 40% half dollars. I have a roll of each. Strictly only because I pulled most of these out of circulation, and these I've pulled a few out of circulation, but I got them at spot price, or actually I paid less than spot price for them. So if you can buy silver for less than spot price, I do all day long. And then the other category that I want to touch on is foreign junk coin, and my personal favorite. And I've done very, 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 very well on foreign junk coin. It's probably one of the best deals that I've ever found for finding junk or scrap silver. But my absolute favorite, and I buy these all day long, and you can find them actually coin roll hunting, half dollars. Not that I advise that. I don't advise that at all. Because my father-in-law has found one before. These Balboa coins. These are the Panama Balboa coin. And they've actually been minted in
the 70s. They can be very valuable. The 70s,
really?
1970s Balboas. The earlier ones are not as valuable, but if you find them in the 70s, they actually have some value. Sorry to cut you off there, Darren.
You're absolutely fine. Yeah, these are some of my favorite coins. I got these things. I think I was paying $16 per troy ounce on them. These are actually 90% as well. I actually include these in with my 90%, and they are the actual literal same weight, same diameter, same everything as the U.S. quarter, one for one. And that has a lot to do with how the Balboa currency works. Their currency is based off the U.S. dollar. It is worth 1 per 1. And in fact, their coinage is minted by the United States for them. So it is literally just happenstance that this coin became a Balboa, and this one became a Washington quarter. It's what they were minting that day. They're minted on the same plankets or plankets or however you say that word. I don't care. So that's my other category. And you know, if you walk into your coin shop and you ask your coin dealer, and if he's a good one, if he's actually got a lot of inventory and he knows what he's doing, he should have what they call bulk junk coin or bulk silver or foreign bulk silver. Say stuff like that to him, and he'll probably understand what you're saying. So yeah, that's
also keep an eye out for Cuban coins. They're in the same boat. We invaded them about the same time and took over their mint, or rather did all their minting for them. So Cubans are in the same boat. The other one that Darren I like to look for as well is the Canadian 80% silver. They have it on them, and they're cool. They're only 80%. Most coin dealers sell them for spot. At least mine does. And I've been known to buy a roll of those fairly often. They're cool. They're something to keep an eye out. I don't have the exact dates on when they stopped being silver.
66.
I believe it was a little bit after us, though.
Yeah,
it wasn't long after us.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that gives people. I mean, guys, we're not giving you an in-depth education of junk silver. It's just not possible in the amount of time we have. But if you have questions, ask us on the group, Silver and Gold Stackers. We'll get back to you. We'll get you the answer. And if you ask a question about junk silver, don't be surprised if we refer you to this podcast.
Yeah, and another
What's
thing
that
too,
there?
I want to throw out a website for you, everybody here too. It's www.coinflation, like inflation, but with CO in front of it, coinflation.com/silver. That'll tell you which coins have silver in them, what they're worth, what their weight value is, and all of that jazz. They also do Mexican coins and Canadian coins as well, so that'll give you a good ballpark figure of what your silver coins are worth. So I'd recommend definitely checking out that website as well.
All right, folks. So now we're going to transition over to some of the questions we've seen in the group this past week. The one I want to start with was actually posted in the Freebay, and the question they asked is not the one I'm going to answer. The question they asked, let me pull it up here to get it exact, because it offended my sense of, I don't know, righteousness of grammar, maybe. Terminology, yeah. Okay, so this question was asked by Jamie Pearson, and he said, how much do people sell 999.9 gold on here per gram? Thanks in advance, guys. Well, thank you for the thanks, but I do want to correct something here. When you are trying to describe gold, it's always a point and then the numbers, not the numbers, then the point, then more numbers. This number is not possible for gold because gold cannot be completely pure, at least not yet. I don't know if that's ever going to be possible. So the purest I've seen, I think, is 5 nines. I own some of those. It's a Canadian, the Canadian Cougar coin. I think it was 4 or 5 nines. So it becomes a point of diminishing returns after a while of how pure the thing can be. But just remember, whenever you're describing gold, it's point then 999 or 0.90. That's 90% gold. That's what an American Eagle is, actually. So just something to remember so you don't look like an idiot. We don't really care in our group, but when you go out to gold bugs, there's guys that will rip you up and down if you make a mistake like that. So that's the first question. And the second question that we saw also related to gold was a fellow who asked, what's the difference between a gold nugget and a gold coin? John or Darren, do you guys want to answer this one?
Darren's the expert.
Thanks, John. I'll just go in like this. You know, gold is often found in nugget form. It's also found in what they call veins, but it's never found in a pure form. I don't think anybody has ever found a 99999 gold nugget. So a gold nugget basically, you know, hasn't been assayed. If somebody's selling you a gold nugget, yeah, sure, there's gold in it. You can see that there's gold in it. You can test that there's gold in it, but until you get it assayed there, you know, you don't really know the exact purity of it. You're buying a 9999 or 4 or 5 nines or 3 nines or whatever gold product. It has been verified, assayed, because it legally has to be assayed before they can even stamp 3, 4, or 5 numbers on it. So That's the biggest advantage. That's the biggest difference between them, other than the fact that one's a nugget and the other one's a coin. Other than that, the advantage is definitely in your favor to buy the coins over the nuggets. We even debated at one point in time, do we even want people selling gold nuggets in our group? And I guess, we never really absolutely said yes we do, but we never really said no we don't. You wouldn't catch me buying gold nuggets. I'll say it that way.
We'll have to discuss it and make it policy at some point.
Yeah, nuggets, there's just a lot more room for fraud there. Is legally, I mean, a nugget could be something that has the smallest smidge of gold in it, and it still could technically kind of be a nugget because it hasn't been assayed. Honestly, as we're all getting to, just buy something from a mint that's actually been minted and assayed and has exactly what's in it. I think a nugget's more like a lotto ticket.
I work at an iron mine.
What's up, John?
I work at an iron mine at times, and we have pyrite. I can sell you pyrite nuggets if you'd like. Yeah, they're gold nuggets.
They are technically gold nuggets.
And there you go.
All right.
So, do we want to open this up and let other individuals ask any questions, or are we getting pretty close to our stopping point, Jake?
Yeah, why don't we? If somebody's got a question, let's let them ask it.
Okay, guys.
See if there's anything.
If you have any questions, you can go over to the link that I shared in the main group, and ask a question on that thread, and I'll give it a few minutes. We can chit chat until we hear anything. See Keith Rolison, Chaz Edwards, Chris Hodges, and Keith Rolison again. They all checked in with us. Keith is saying he wishes we would get something on YouTube because he despises Google+. Yeah, I understand too. I definitely agree with you, Keith. Keith also said that he was willing to participate, not just listen. He has a lot of experience with junk silver. We will be inviting some people in here in the future. We got a show coming up here in a couple weeks where we have a couple guest speakers coming in. Chris Hodges is busy at the moment. Wishes he could watch it live. He's going to catch it on YouTube later. And Chaz Edwards is saying we should just do it live on YouTube. We're pretty new to this, guys. This is only our 4th episode. We're not completely closed to changing platform. This is available live, or not live, but is available on YouTube afterwards. I'm not real sure. Do you guys know what we'd have to do to transition this over to a YouTube link up, or? Because I'm just saying, I do feel like it might actually be a little more versatile. We can discuss that all later, though.
Yeah, I have no problems with trying to improve the quality of this podcast. It's something I'm all about. We will be transitioning to a audio-only version as well as the video. That should be available on iTunes. It'll probably be a few weeks for us to get that up and running. But when that happens, you'll just be able to subscribe to our podcast, have it auto-download to your phone after it's recorded. And while you won't be able to take part in the show, you will be able to listen to it at work or wherever on your car ride to work or whatever. So, there's one other issue. Something happened in this group. We had a disgruntled member who kind of decided that they didn't like playing in our group and they were going to start their own group. And while I do feel bad for this member, seeing as the only person that felt the need to join their special private group was his wife, I just wanted to, discuss a little bit because they're going to start their own group. And while I do feel bad.
Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
So I think it's amusing. I feel bad for the guy. If a little bit of being told no makes you decide to start your own thing, that's fine. Whatever. I don't really care. Good luck with him getting 900 members like we have. Good luck building the community we have. It's not something that's easy to do. It takes a special blend of personalities. Not any one of us can actually pull this off. A lot of it's Darren, but it's also Jeremy, John, all of the admins, and a lot of our active members. It takes a very special mixture of people to make a good group that is enjoyable.
And I'd like to say too.
I wish this guy the best.
Yeah. I'd like to say too. we are kind of a different flavor of group. Sometimes our attitudes get the best of us, and we try to keep each other in check. And there are instances where we communicate together and say, hey, this wasn't cool. We need to reverse something here. We need to think about this. We need to redo something. So, sometimes stuff gets said and can't take anything back. But we do try to service you guys. It's not like this is our group and the rules don't apply to us. We try to live accordingly to the rules, just like we expect everybody else to. So, if you want to go start your own group, hey, be my guest. That's fine. You might
even join it.
Yeah, I'm not a numbers kind of guy. I wouldn't care if we had 50 members in our group, as long as those members were quality, good members that aren't going to rip off each other and come in and talking a lot of crap. I'm not a numbers kind of guy at all. But just so you guys know what our group is kind of made of and who we are and everything. That's kind of just what it is. I got a message here from actually one of my biggest. I'm one of his biggest fans, I guess I should say. Frank P. Numismatics. He commented. Hold on, let me pull it back up. He said something with the comments aren't working right. I'm sorry, Frankie. We're working on. I think I didn't enable the Q&A before starting it, and I'm unable to.
All right. I actually just got a question here from. Hey, Darren. I've got a question from Matt Gobat, I believe. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, man. He's asking, I wouldn't mind a discussion on how precious metals are price fixed / controlled. I occasionally see some simple comments, but I would like to see a discussion. All right, I happen to, as John and Darren both have as well, spent a little bit too much time on this possible topic.
Yeah.
The long and the short of it is I think manipulation going on. I don't know how much. I know there's some going on because it was Deutsche Bank just admitted to rigging both the gold and the silver market.
Yes.
There's a lot of rumors about this, and there's been some hard evidence, such as there was a price fix, I believe in January, where the London LIBOR market fixed it was it $1 below spot price that day, and made a killing off of that, which it's obvious that would be obvious manipulation. The thing with price manipulation is you easily go down the rabbit hole, and before you know it, you're looking up 9/11 conspiracy theory.
Yes.
So it's a fine line between what's actually happening, what I can prove, and what I would like to believe, and I think is probably happening, to what is just like down the rabbit hole and Alice in Wonderland. John, what are your views on price manipulation?
It can be as complex as what Deutsche Bank did to anything, or just simply flooding the market with paper and then buying. I mean, it's really not that difficult. But like you just said, and I'm going to kind of parrot what you just said, if you're not careful, the next thing you know, you're letting me know all about the Rothschilds and the Federal Reserve. And honestly, there might be something to it. I don't want to hear it. I have more important things to think about. Stack on.
Darren, how are your views?
I'd say my views are pretty similar to John. Is there manipulation going on? Absolutely. Is there control going on? Absolutely. Who knows who's doing what? It doesn't matter. It's out of our hands. It's out of our control. There's nothing we can do about it. So why are we sitting here worrying about it? As all things that are manipulated, it's going to boil over one of these days. It's going to come out. The truth will be said, and then we can talk about it then. But until then, I've got no time to waste on it. I got things to do today.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the manipulation, I look at it as part of my investment thesis in silver and gold. When I see that there's something like 70 to 90 paper ounces of gold for every real ounce of gold in the COMEX, that makes me think that physical gold is probably a good investment if they're making this much fake stuff to flood the market. There's been some supposition / research on the idea that whenever gold is headed for a real big rally, certain bullion banks have been known to flood the market with paper to suppress or hold back the rally a little bit. This makes sense, especially if those bullion banks are all short the market, which means if there's a rally, they would lose massive amounts of money. I could see that happening. I can't totally prove it, I'm sure eventually it'll be proven, but that's how I kind of view manipulation. If it's the manipulation is for somebody's profit, then it's much more likely to be happening than just some trying to control the gold price because the big banks don't want it to go up, which is also possible, but there's a much bigger leap to make for that. And so I can't. Darren, what's up?
I was going to say too. This is kind of how it was explained to me too, in terms of setting the price. How it was kind of explained to me when I asked my coin dealer years ago. I asked him, I was like, so how do people claim to know, or why do people claim to know, and how is this stuff set? And the way he kind of explained it to me is it's all these paper trades that are setting the price. It's not even physical trades that are setting it. So, Big Bank A sells Big Bank B 100 million ounces of paper silver at this price. Well, at the same time, Big Bank C and D do the same thing. So they average out those two prices where they are, and in the middle there, that's what the spot price would be. So that's how they're setting the price. It's
okay, so I actually have a better, slightly more in-depth example. The spot price is kind of set along the lines of stock trading. So there's what's called a bid and an ask, and the price that's usually agreed upon is halfway between bid and ask. With silver, the bid and the ask are always 10 cents apart. So when I consider spot prices, usually halfway between. My coin dealer is nice enough to consider the low number to be spot price. Other coin dealers will only buy at ask and sell at bid, buy at bid and sell at ask, so they get an automatic 10-cent spread. It's not really the most honest thing, but it's something to kind of keep an eye on. Yeah. So that's how it works. And Darren's correct. It's multiple banks, and those transactions can be averaged to decide on what the bid and the ask will be. But the way it's supposed to work is Bank A says, I bid this. Bank C is bidding their ask, and then the spread in between is what the price is. So if the price goes up, the ask has to go up by, let's say, a penny, and then the bid has to agree to that penny rise and go up 1 penny, and then the price goes up in the middle. So it's kind of confusing. If you're interested, do some more research on it. But it's in the end really not that important, since we have absolutely no ability to control that market unless you're willing to invest a couple $1 million into COMEX futures, which is usually, if there is manipulation going on, it's usually done not through the current price of silver, but through the price of silver a month from now, or on the futures market, because that's where paper reigns king, because nobody technically owns silver 1 month from now. Who knows where it'll be? So people use silver futures contracts to trade silver a month from now, and that price will affect the price that it is today. So, yeah, I mean, that's the manipulation. If you want to learn more, listen to Peter Schiff. He does a audio blog every week, once or twice. Check out Zero Hedge. They can be they can go a little far for my taste, but just read them with a skeptical mindset, and you'll still learn a lot. Personally, I think they're more accurate than Bloomberg.
They're more accurate than Bloomberg. They're more accurate than Bloomberg, but they're a little on the pumper side. I like Illuminati Silver. Channel called Illuminati Silver.
It's a resource to check out as well.
It's about the most honest information you can get.
Another site I suggest you follow is called Kennedy Financial. It's a very small blog. 2 CPAs run it, but they're both stackers. They're into Austrian economics, and one of them will actually be on this show in a few weeks. So that's another podcast to follow, Kennedy Financial. There's tons of others. If you are really interested, just ask us on the group. People will all post their favorite links, and we'll kind of go from there. Darren, do you have anything to add?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, folks. If you have any more questions, we'll answer them next week. Thanks again for listening to another episode of Silver and Gold Stackers. Darren, do you have anything to say in parting?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, folks. John's having some technical difficulties with a daughter, so we'll see you later. Bye.